Meha has set the tone for this day very well. And so today, in the first panel, we will be discussing the transformations that are happening in education, especially school education. And every day in newspapers, on whatever forums, we are seeing the kind of changes that are coming up, especially in technology. And I, as a non-technology person, I'm struggling every day with, what all new is happening. Politically, geopolitically, we are seeing the kind of shifts that are happening. So like any other sphere, education is also grappling with those changes, both positively and negatively. In schools, what are the changes happening in terms of technology, in terms of AI? So to start with, I would like to ask Mr. Dominic Tomalin, because you would have a perspective of global changes that are happening in other parts of the world as well as in India. So what are the most significant shifts that you are seeing in the classroom in the wake of technology?
So I would recognise that technology offers a great benefits in the classroom, but it needs to be used very, very carefully. So one of the great challenges of AI is it's beginning to do some of the thinking for us. So when you think about the industrial revolutions we've been through in the past with mechanisation and then with information, actually our relationship with information and knowledge has changed profoundly. More so than ever before can we access everything that has been known, but we're not teaching our children necessarily to think. And so actually squaring that circle, using the technology to help us personalise education, to really help young people to realise their potential is one thing. To achieve great grades is another thing along the way. But actually we need to teach people how to be human beings, which echoes what was said earlier on today. But most profoundly, whilst all this technology can be very helpful to us in education, we mustn't let it detract from the actual learning process and establishing critical thinking skills, the very skills that you need to establish in order to use the technology in the first place.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that classrooms are now beyond just four walls, and I completely agree with Dominic that critical thinking is essential. Whether it is Forbes, whether it's World Economic Forum, everyone's talking about critical thinking as one of the necessary skills. And if that is not embedded, whether in school or even in the day-to-day, then technology will rule us. It should be the other way around. Humans should be using technology as a tool and not the other way around. So if students, you all are there in this room, use technology, but don't be dependent on it. Yes, ChatGPT is going to help you with a lot of things. It's going to make your life easier, but don't stop thinking. Do not forget to add your personal element. Just don't copy-paste from what ChatGPT has to say. So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
I might just add to that. So within learning and pedagogy, we talk about the zone of proximal development, which is about getting people to the edge of what they can do. And this is where AI is a very powerful tool to get you there. But you need to have the mentoring, the teachers around you to help you navigate what might be called deliberate practice. So that you must get yourself to a position where you're actually feeling a little bit uncomfortable about what you know in order to improve. The great danger of ChatGPT is it can give you everything you need to get the B grade, but you really want the A, and if you're going to move yourself into the A grade, you need to develop all of those skills, and that will only happen with a teacher relationship.
Thank you. So, given these transformations, Mr. Yadav, I would like to ask you, there's much talk about flipped classrooms now. Can you provide insights into that? And also, especially, what is the role of teachers now? Because traditionally teachers have been trained to sit in front of the blackboard or green board or whatever and instruct. Now, how does it work in the classroom now?
I think long before also we have realized, at least past, I would say since COVID and little bit before also, that lecture method is gone long time back. And teacher is now more of an enabler and facilitator of the overall process. That's how the teacher is there. So if you're expecting lectures, it is not going to work. And students' attention also is a big requirement which has to be there. Flipped classroom is something very interesting, and because it completely ups the engagement game of the students. Like recently we wanted to do something very interesting with the students, and for commerce students of class 11, We wanted them to have, some serious active learning. So there was a CBSE chess competition which was held in our school at the zonal level. So we asked them how to learn about trading. What challenge, if you want to set up a business, what are the challenges which are there? So we said, let's have a trading for them. We asked them to put up a stall there. So they had to arrange to get the raw materials, to see that marketing, how much they have to do, all different aspects that come in setting up a business and then actually running it. Once they did it, they were able to make some profit also, which I was very happy. And then we asked them to prepare balance sheet, the losses, make a project so that what would happen if they wanted to increase the business, how they can improve, what challenges were there. So this is one example of flipped learning. Like this, so many other things where unless you allow practical learning to happen, learning will not happen among students, because now they are so much engaged with technology, which is a tool, not a teacher. But because people have been engaging so much, their critical thinking has completely gone. And as a rule of nature, remember one thing, if something is not used, it will become redundant. So unless you are used to thinking, asking critical questions. ChatGPT is an excellent tool, without a doubt. But it depends how you use it. If you want only to do your homework, then of course you are ruining your life, nothing else. But if you want to ask critical questions to understand deeply any concept, in a class, suppose you have, normally you have 40 minutes classes there. So you don't have enough time to ask all the questions. Your teacher also cannot allow you, because they have to complete the syllabus and all those challenges are there. But with ChatGPT, you have all the liberty to ask any kind of question you want, any way, the way you want it to be demonstrated to you, in form of picture, in any context you want to put it, everything is possible. So using the tools rightly is the most crucial thing, and that's where Sir was telling very rightly that you need a teacher to guide you in this.
Coming to teachers, my next question is to you, Rupa Chakravarty. So the teachers, first of all, while the students have really gained control over quite a lot of technology, they are smarter than most of us, but the teacher should also be trained and adept at, handling that technology. She should be well versed in her, she should be really knowledgeable in her subject area, because students can come up with any questions in the classrooms, wherever. How comfortable are teachers with this whole new technological ecosystem? What is the challenge that teachers are facing today?
Thank you. I'm a teacher. So for me, it's very easy to understand the scenario from my perspective. What has happened is education has become all about children now. And I think COVID told us that in no uncertain words, that our students have now become the flipped mentor. If I borrow and change the word, it's not flipped classroom anymore, it's flipped mentor. Because I can be the mentor at one point of time, the child can be the mentor at another point of time, because we are way behind them. Don't forget the Gen Alpha, Gen Beta that has come in. So when we have people 10 years back, those who were born into a world of AI. Those are the Gen Beta. And then there are 14 years back, the Gen Alpha came in, who were brought up with devices and learned with technology. Now, if we have this scenario, we have a big question mark, what is the role of the teacher? But let's not forget, or let's remember, can technology teach ethics, values, social skills? Just now the gentleman who was speaking is saying we are becoming very selfish. Of course, we can blame it on those people who said, love yourself, forget about the world, love yourself. When even in the flight, they say, first put on the mask on yourself, so love yourself. Somewhere we are overcome with that love yourself and become selfish, maybe. But it is also true that the children are way ahead of us where technology is concerned. But will technology be able to teach the children these skills, the softer skills, and make them true human beings? To be is a verb. And being a being is so very important. So technology, like they all said, is an excellent slave, but a bad master. But I would like to even talk further on this little later. Yeah.
I just wanted to say one thing that I completely agree with you, and that empathy element and the personal element AI cannot replace. You know, when I'm in my lows, I go to my mentor, my teacher, I would want to hold hands. That AI cannot give, right? So of course there are other elements in school as well which nobody discusses. Yes, school is about providing information, science, maths, geography, etc. But that personal element that teacher adds, you cannot replace it with anything else.
Although now ChatGPT is also acting as counselor to quite a lot of youngsters.
Yeah, so I would say that ChatGPT, there are the generative pre-trained transformers available, so not just ChatGPT. But on the whole, the debate has moved on from this idea of knowledge transfer to actually having a dialogue. So the learning process is much more of a dialogue than it has been in the past. So when I went to school, there was still quite a lot of chalk and talk, which is all the stuff inside the teacher's head gets converted into the chalkboard at the front and then goes into mine. Now there's much more of a dialogue between the teacher and the pupil. And this is a very promising development. So I entirely agree with the notion of mentor and coach. And actually in the background, you've got the ways of manipulating the information into something that suits the young person's learning style so that they can make the best progress possible.
Thank you. Mr. Rashid, welcome. So coming to you, you represent the other side of the spectrum as, you know, physics wala. Engaging with schools, what are the typical challenges that you face, and what are the shifts that schools need to bring about if technology has to be integrated in a meaningful manner?
Good morning, everyone. First of all, apologies for getting a little late. But technology ensured that I joined this session right from the beginning because it's being telecasted and I had the live access. So this is the goodness of the technology, right? So at the time when you are struggling with something, technology can come and help you, right? As it was there in the COVID, right? But in terms of how we deal with the schools, because we are working with more than 2,000 schools across India in terms of providing the curriculum and the test prep services to these schools. Even we have started our own schools. We are running 3 schools right now. One is in Varanasi, second one is in Indore, and then the third one is in Gurugram, right? So fundamentally, technology has a big role. All of us, admit this, right? But making it control is something, all of us are struggling to do it, right? And at the same time, there are 2 sides of the table. One is the teacher who has not, basically a digital native, and second side of the table is a digital native who consume content, from all the platforms. They have, access of all the tools that is available. They are tech first, right? But bridging this gap is super important, right? Because for the teachers, technology ensures so much now, right? The classroom is not typically, blackboard and the chalk only, right? In the classroom, you have the interactive panels, you have the videos, you have the 3D avatars, you have, the clickers in the classroom where, quizzing could happen, So if you look, by implementing the technology properly in the classroom is getting, lot of returns, lot of outcomes because of the collective use of technology, right? Because now classroom could be engaging with the help of these tools. Students could learn in a better way. Teachers have the very micro level lesson plan in their hand, step by step, because, school fight with the number of working days, number of working periods, So with technology, all these things could be done in a better way, right? So it's about, using technology in the right way, right?
Thank you. Mr. Yadav, coming to you, we are, teachers and students. The other angle is that of parents. We can't forget that angle. Again, parents, like many of the teachers, they have grown up in traditional education system. How are they adapting to this new ecosystem? And what are their expectations from schools and teachers now?
I think parents are very important, player or aspect in this development. It's all right now. Thank you. Yes, parents are one of the most important pillars in the development of any child. I have seen a lot of kids, across over the past 8, 10 years that I have been involved. And if I analyze all those kids who are really very successful, they have one thing that is common: active parental engagement. Parent may or may not be involved, educated, but parents have to be involved. They have to show concern how the child is doing. They have to connect to teachers, follow up, and help the child overcome whatever is coming in the path. The parental expectations from teachers has increased, remarkably, I would say. Because now a lot of things which were already available, which was possible at homes earlier, now teacher is supposed to do that. Teacher is kind of, superwoman or superman for them. And of course, they have to discipline their children without scolding them, without touching them. They have to do everything with, the parent cannot control the child, so they will come and say, sir, मेरी बात तो सुनता नहीं, आप देख लीजिए, आपके बोलने से हो जाएगा. So that's a big challenge. But I think teachers are doing a great job, especially after COVID and earlier also, because the kind of exposure these kids are getting, so controlling them has become a big challenge. I
But
would
do
say.
you feel that technologically parents are struggling at home
Oh,
in
yes.
terms of assignments and everything?
Yes. See, that is why adoption of technology has to be very careful. As a school, earlier we used to send a lot of things through technology, then we have reduced remarkably what we are sending. I'll explain why. We have LMS, we used to send whatever assignment, everything is there through LMS. Now, children, what they would do, in the name of doing the homework or assignment, they will need to actually use it for just 5 minutes. But they will spend half an hour on that, till I'm doing homework or something like that. And as he rightly said, children are digital natives. So now parents, how much ever you try to be advanced, you cannot keep up with them in terms of how well they understand this technology. So it is a big challenge for parents to keep up with that. So we have remarkably reduced, and only if absolutely necessary, we send the information through technology. We are kind of, in some aspects, we have done reverse, because otherwise what is happening, the amount of time these children are spending on devices, it is very detrimental.
Which brings me to my next question about the time. So not just sciences, but also so many subjects, even creative pursuits, technology is being used. How do, as educators, you help maintain the balance between technology and non-technological pursuit?
I'll just add a little bit and then others also can carry on. I think, see, balance has to be there in everything. There is no second thought about it. Technology should be as a tool, not beyond that. So whenever you are, whether science you are doing, suppose you want to understand any process or something, technology is excellent. We are having a VR lab. So what we do, like how the heart is working, people are used to, can use the VR device and see it actually, how it happens. Or, SST, if you are teaching, they can visit any pyramid and see how it actually looks. So that is wonderful. But beyond that, you have to give them actual experiences as well. Activities where, because now so much overload of technology is that children enjoy more the other activities than just only technology. This is very important. Where hands-on activities are there, where they're actually doing it with their fingers, hands, and they're moving around, connecting with friends. That is a bigger, developmental benefit for them. Something that they can remember very well, because otherwise content they are consuming like anything, and they don't remember also. It's like, motivation videos which you watch on YouTube. वो तभी तक रहता है जब तक वीडियो खत्म होता है, उसके बाद सब भूल जाते हैं.
Yeah, so I was actually having dinner last night with a drama teacher, and we got onto the subject of AI in the classroom. Of course, the drama teacher was quite reluctant to suggest that AI could be much assistance in his world, but he did concede actually that he was encouraging his pupils to use it, but mainly as a primer. And this goes back to this idea of actually you can use this technology to get the pupils to the place to have the dialogue that you want to have with them in the classroom. My own teaching is economics, maths, physics, and actually AI lends itself quite comfortably to that as a diagnostic tool. So within the classroom you can actually get a real appreciation of what's been understood and what hasn't been understood using some of the AI tools. But again, it's about getting to the dialogue and how do you correct that understanding in the mix. So when we talk about balance, it is about professional decision making on the part of the educator and the institution about how AI can be used to facilitate learning and not inhibit it.
So all this presupposes the right infrastructure, access to technological tools. But would you say that this has kind of created a divide among those who can afford and those who are still struggling?
Digital divide already exists in India, not just based on devices. And I don't feel that the divide is because the privileged have the devices or the resources or the underprivileged do not, but it's because technology has created this hierarchy. There is one set of people who know how to use technology and the other who doesn't know. And the only solution to ensure that this gap doesn't widen is data literacy and digital literacy. If our parents, students, everyone, if we are not digitally literate, then we are at a very big risk. So the divide is already there, and now we have to look at solutions. And even you asked this question that how are teachers struggling? Teachers are overwhelmed because the rate at which EdTech is moving and new things are coming, it's very difficult for anyone to cope with it. Even the World Economic Forum, again, I would mention this. Critical thinking, yes, is one of the skills needed. Digital literacy is also going to be needed. By 2030, McKinsey mentioned that 50% of the jobs would go because technology is going to take over. So if you're not digitally, like back 20 years ago, we were using calculators, right, to do. Now we're using phone, we're using Excel formulas. So we have evolved. And also when we started this session, you mentioned I'm not digitally literate. Well, you are. You're using Instagram, you're using WhatsApp. From a telephone, you've started using a touchscreen phone. So you have also evolved, but now is the time where we have to evolve and learn things faster compared to what we were doing 10 years ago. So yeah.
Mr. Rashid had to add something?
Just to add to that, millions of students through our online platforms across India, right? So what we did so far, if we talk about number of school students, there are 25 crore students studying in the schools in India, right? And fairly we are reaching to almost all kind of students, right? Whoever has the mobile phone and the internet, right? We have the more than 4 crore, subscribers on the YouTube, right? And a lot of, impact stories comes, from these learners. So at one side, what we are doing, we are providing the access, we are democratizing the learning, to the students who didn't have the quality access earlier, right? And now you might be, if you go on Google, you can search, a lot of students, someone's father was a painter, someone's father was a, laborer, they qualified JEE, NEET, UPSC because of support of these platforms, right? That is there. But despite that, we are talking about the divide, right? Despite that, a lot of students, so we are still, able to reach to only 25% of Indian students. 80% students don't have the access, don't have the data. So we are selling our online courses at the price of 5,000, right? But they said, the course is super affordable. Earlier it used to be at least 50,000 lakh rupees. In offline it was even costlier. But the problem is the cost of the data, cost of the device. That is more than the cost of the course. Despite selling at 5,000, they're not able to afford that. But there are a lot of stories where students were going and using the internet from someone else. They were using the device of someone else, to study. So that is a big thing, and the problem is technology is accelerating massively, right? And if it is not being catered, then there will be a serious problem. Because with AI and all, it's not what is there today, the same pace it will happen in the next 5 years, 10 years.
What is required is that ability to be in sync with whatever changes is happening, not be always running after what new has come. So I think generationally that ability to catch up with newer technologies should be there.
May I just add to
Yeah.
what he's saying? So I think those who are in this room today need to understand what the future is going to be like. If you hear Jensen Huang, his GPU, the GPU now, the graphic processing unit, today can do only H100 or H200, okay? What he's predicting and NVIDIA is going to do by 2029 is H700. He's talking about that what experiences you have, you would analyze it after the experience happened, right? And that's how your learning happened. Now, you will have an experience, you will feed it into the computer, and the computer is going to tell you about what's going to be your, whether you call it prediction, whether you call it outcome, because there's synthetic learning data coming. So the synthetic learning data is only going to, now please don't go by what I say, look up facts, and I'm giving you technological data, right? But we do not know eventually how it will manipulate us, because the human mind is humongous. We do not know how big this mind is until we face a problem. So what we need to do basically is keep all the soft skills, including risk-taking. And even with a age 700, we will overcome if we keep our minds alacrity. That's what I feel we should look at. Thank you for bringing this up, because I suddenly thought of Jensen Huang, and what he says is the future of the GPU. I mean, from 200 to go to 700 is huge. By 2029 is what he's saying NVIDIA will be doing. And a chip, you know how big a chip is? That chip is going to be 70 pounds. And that much of work it will give us. Thank you.
One question that comes to my mind, which is, since COVID started, the batch that joined school that year, those who were in primary school would now be in classes 6, 7, and so on. Maybe those 5 years, I'm sure as educators and in schools, you would have kept track of the kind of impact that has had on those particular batches, in terms of technology, in terms of ability to learn, in terms of intermix, socially. What is your experience about those particular batches, including from classes 4, 5 to class 12? How has COVID time learning impacted?
So I think that the biggest, most obvious impact was on their social development. So because they spent so long away from one another. And I think in society we've underestimated the importance of actually being in the same space together. And if that's one thing that we learned from the COVID experience, that will be a good thing. And it does hint back to this whole notion of soft skills. So it's one thing to engage online, but actually there's plenty of communication and learning that happens, which is not to do with just information transfer. It's much more to do with being in the same space together, and that is the human experience. So that's one chunk of it. The other chunk has been on the academic side. So clearly, in the UK, for example, we went through a few years where we had different assessment protocols in place. And I'm sure other panel members might be able to comment on the experience the universities had when those students have emerged into their space. But it is something which we need to pay very close attention to. I, for one, think that actually the COVID experience accelerated our use of technology in a very positive way. What I'm slightly disappointed by is the fact that the assessment protocols that are employed haven't changed. And the world has. So we're still assessing students against criteria which was fit for maybe the 1990s, but not the 21st century.
I agree, and wearing my international hat on and not commenting on how schools evolve, but how international universities, I think practical learning has always been the case in the UK, US, and Europe. But then giving online projects and giving them that immersive learning experience that helped. But Indian students struggled because they had to start their degree online, and again, they did not have access to Wi-Fi, to devices. So when they transitioned and they landed into the UK, they were scared. They were not ready to mingle or mix completely. There was, of course, homesickness, but that cultural immersion element was missing for at least a few months. So they struggled. But those who were within the country, adaptability increased, resilience increased, flexibility increased, as Dominic mentioned. So that ways it was very positive. But for changing countries, especially for international students, it was tough. Yeah.
I'll just add in the school perspective. Initially, just after the COVID, I think up to 2021, we had, this lockdowns and all those things. So In the first 1.5 years, we could easily see the impact on children. Social skills, what he mentioned, was very big. Writing ability, those things had dipped. But I would say over the past few years, people have more or less, adapted, and things have been back to normal. So, though I wouldn't say there would be much lasting impact on overall learning ability of children.
Rupa, I would like to ask, because at the same time as these technologies are penetrating, coming to dominate education, NEP is also now being implemented. The two major developments in Indian education have come about almost at the same time. What are the commonalities between, what NEP envisages and the edtech sector, what it has to offer?
So NEP is talking more about, focuses mainly on three very important things. One is the experiential learning. I like to call it transversal education because knowledge every school gives you. Experience is knowledge plus experience, right? And transversal learning is about knowledge plus experience plus employability skills. And we all know before it started focusing on COVID and on technology, we were talking about skills, that there is not adequate amount of skills in the students who are passing out, due to which the companies are facing a lot of problem. Now, this is that gap was what NEP was asking you to ensure does not exist. So the first thing that it focused on was learning through doing. Very simple, existing for the last 200 years, so learning by doing. The second thing that they talked about was to ensure that the children were doing integrated subject learning, which again was something that some schools do it to an extent, but not to the complete extent. Of course, the third aspect was technology, but it was also the use of technology in using it in the, the bank, where the credit system would come in and you would then put all your credits into the bank and ensure that it is a continuum that's happening from school, college, into your working life. And if you want to do micro-credentials later, because this is now the talk of the town, that we have fads from time to time, micro-credentials, big fad going on. We will know with time whether it will carry on or it will see the light of, whether it will stay longer or not. So I think these three things are what they are talking about in NEP, and to a great extent, we are trying to implement it in schools.
We have about 15 minutes, so as concluding remarks, I would like to know from all of you one major innovation which would include social skills also, because we are talking a lot about social skills. So what are those innovations that your institutes are bringing about? So, integrating technology, social skills.
I'm a brand new school. We opened on the 18th of August. However, we are drawing on a legacy of nearly 500 years. So we have an educational philosophy that's based on something we call the Floriat, which really looks to educate the whole person through 4 dimensions: the intellective, the active, the reflective, and the expressive. But perhaps most importantly, in terms of our discussion today, there's a great emphasis on advocating for virtues. And so we have what we call the Salopian way, which is based on 6 virtues: wisdom, integrity, courage, kindness, spirit, and self-mastery. And I would say that actually there's a technological innovation. I'm not saying it's an innovation, but it's a reawakening of existing wisdom. Is about self-mastery, because if you're going to really achieve your potential, you need to master yourself in the first instance. So at Shrewsbery, we recognise that the teacher has a significant role to play. So we're working very hard, and we're in a privileged position of being able to do it, to keep our class sizes to an average of 1 teacher to 8, I mean, we do go up to 14, but even at that ratio, there is no excuse. The teaching and learning experience needs to be individualised. And that, from my perspective, irrespective of technology, is really the great strength of the Shrewsbery education, is it will be personalised. And then to have the richness of the experience, the practical engagement with life is there as well. So over half of what we do is practical. So it's not just in the classroom. We've got all the workshops and laboratories, but also making sure that the pupils have the opportunity to genuinely explore where their talents and interests lie, and then have everything available to them to take those talents and interests towards mastery.
I think, as mentioned earlier also, one thing, technology, we are not so much worried about integrating, because by default anyway, with the process we are doing it in using in class, all those things. One or two aspects which I really feel are very, very important. One is gratitude. Other one is ability to accept failure. These two things are very, very crucial things. And if you have to teach any skill, I think unless it is, you design a system around it, it will not be possible. So what we have done is that accepting failure example. First, sports is one very wonderful way of keeping not only healthy, but also allows you to accept failure in a low stakes battle. Nobody feels, commit suicide because you have lost the match. But we have seen some excellent children. I mean, I come from Kharagpur, and IIT Kharagpur is my alma mater, and just close to me also. And we have seen a lot of kids, taking this extreme step. And the reasons are, they are excellent children who have been, acing anything that they have done in life. But suddenly some stumbling block comes and you don't know how to handle it. So it becomes a big problem. So that is one very, very crucial thing. So we allow children to, not only in the level of children, what we do is we ask them, take sports, let them lose, let them win, and then allow them to, in a joking way, I tell them one thing, see, your quota for success and failure is fixed in your life. So finish off your failure quota before it's so that later in life you will only win. So that's how I put it. But yes, we allow them to do that. And one more thing, in meetings also, whatever we have, we tell them, tell what you have done mistake to the teachers also. I also sometimes start with the meeting, okay, this is something which we planned, we thought it will work out, it did not work out. No problem, we will learn from it and we will do it better. After every event we analyze that, okay, this was a great thing, but maybe something we have to do. So when the top man is ready to accept the failure in front of students and teachers, it gives them a lot of comfort. Because see, our philosophy is inquire, innovate, inspire. So if I have to innovate, I have to inquire, and only then I can inspire. So it all starts with, celebrating the effort, then just success. We want to be a country of entrepreneurs, but 99% of them fail. And unless we accept that, okay, it is possible to fail, it is just a step in learning. Unless we start celebrating the effort, this will not change. Second, as I said, was gratitude. Because as a society, we want to keep earning and moving ahead and something like that every time. But a lot of times in this race, we miss out the joy of celebrating those things that we have in our hand. And that is where contentment comes. So unless you are content, happiness is not there. And unless happiness is there, there's no point. What is the difference? So that also we celebrate. We express gratitude through systems. I thank teachers that, okay, you all are here. I'm very happy to have excellent bunch of teachers to tell the students also that yes, there are problems. There will always be problem. If people are there, problem will come. I heard a very nice quote, in Hindi I will say, that अगर जीवन है तो समस्या तो होगी ही, अगर जीवन है तो समस्या होगी ही, क्योंकि मरने के बाद तो जलने का भी तकलीफ नहीं होता है. So that is how life is. We have to express gratitude, appreciate what we have in life, move ahead, accept failure, that is part of life again, and children will grow and become excellent ambassadors of us.
Thank you. Vidhi?
Very interesting and very deep. For me, there's nothing known as success or failure. I don't call anything as failure, but everything is a learning. Learning doesn't stop, whether you're 5-year-old, 40 or 50, 60, 70, 80. It never stops. What you learn is what matters. The reason why people call failure as a failure is because there's a lot of competition. What score my child has got, how many skills my child has, or what awards, etc. Let's stop the competition. what have you learned? How do you feel? And that's where the gratitude element also comes, that I'm very happy with what I have. I'm moving in the direction of growing personally and not just commercially or my bank balance, etc. That will come. And as he mentioned, when you die, nothing's going to come with you. But the way you lived your life, the values you had, it's going to stay with you. So yes, technology needs to be used, again, because this is about future of education technology, but it is going to be an enabler and not a replacement. So use technology to amplify your own potential, live your life, and also learn to give back to the society. Because you're going to live in this society, so if you are making this a better place to live, it's going to be fun and happy for everyone else around you as well. So yeah.
Thank you. Rupa, your parting remarks?
Okay, I thought it would. Then we'll have physics wala. So I think on at the macro level, we have, I have a statement I make always. Coincidentally, it was Professor Chakravarty of IIM Lucknow when I was doing quality management who taught me this. He said, make able and noble pupils. So the ability to excel, the ability to do work, the ability to play, the ability to do activities, the ability to do so many things. But nobility of the heart is the most important. And I tell this to children in school, just be a good human being. The rest of it will follow. Because that is the paucity in the world today of good human beings. Think for yourself, which is the boss you like? The boss who's thinking of himself or herself, or the boss who's thinking about others? But having said all of this, eventually the jobs in the market determine the ability of our children. And you talked about the World Economic Forum at Davos. 2025, do you know the top 10 jobs that's coming by? The jobs are, and there are students here, and I speak specially to you, AI and big data, fintech, autonomous vehicles, okay? You all know what I mean by autonomous vehicles. UI and UX, ask adults, they will not know UI and UX, but students know what is UI and UX. So when we look at the jobs are going to ensure what the schools do, right? Because end result is employability skill. And that is what I would like to predict for the future, that we have to be ready for what is coming our way, but don't lose yourself. Be like he said, I'm just trying to remember who was but he said, Einstein said, yes, he said, I have no great talent, I'm just passionately curious. Keep the curiosity and everything will take care of itself.
Mr. Rashid finally.
Yes, ma'am. So in terms of technology, the biggest potential I see is, ability to understand each and every student at the personal level. This is something technology could ensure, because, we keep talking about the types of learners, Harvard theories and all, right? So that is one type of learner. Then there's the past of the learner. Someone is good in grade 5, 6, 7, 8 arithmetic, maths. But once they come to class 9, 10, 12, it also matters. How good are they with these skills? Then they are the present of their students. How distracted are they? How focused are they? What are their liking, dislikings? So considering all these things in mind, it's very important to bucketize the kinds of learner they are. So in a classroom of 40, there could be 40 type of learners. And
so personalized learning.
Yes, ma'am. So with using technology, this is something which we can ensure, and make students, also beyond technology, keep the real thing important, because it is irrespective of the time. You have to be a good problem solver, whether you were 500 years back or you will be after 500 years. You have to be a good problem solver. You have to be good human. All of us said this, right? You have to be, good critical thinker. So these skills of human are very important. So here also, you should understand yourself, talking to students, you should understand yourself what kind of, abilities, skills, thought process you have, and you work on that.
From management perspective, I want to add one point. A lot of times, this technology is being used because everybody else is doing it. That we have to remember. Unless you plan out well how to integrate it and use properly, then this FOMO thing is always there and it's only going to cause harm. You have devices, now you don't know how to control them. Everybody is focused on whichever way they want. Because teachers are not adequately trained. Then again, it's a problem. So it is wonderful. Technology is there to stay without a doubt. It has awesome benefits, but we have to use in the right places and in right doses also. Thank you.
Thank you so much.